caught on camera. That's the word that immediately spread quickly on the timeline that night. Taehyung is seen walking alone, without Jungkook by his side. There was no chuckle, no steps that used to match each other's rhythm, no shadow of Jungkook that usually appeared half a step behind or right beside him. For the public, perhaps it was just one brief moment. But for the army, the sight seemed awkward, even alarming. Because during this time, their togetherness, both in front of the camera and in between schedules, often becomes something almost inseparable. The footage is short, blurry, and taken from a not-so-close distance. Taehyung was dressed in casual clothes, his face calm but closed. He walked at a steady pace, lowered his head slightly, as if immersed in his own thoughts. There was no sign that he was waiting for someone. There is no sign it will stop. And what made everyone wonder the most, Jungkook was nowhere to be seen. Questions arise. What happened? Did they quarrel? Is there a problem? Or is there something deeper that the public doesn't know? What makes this situation feel heavier is the context of time. A few days earlier, ARMY was still talking about Jungkook's emotional moments while live, teary gazes, overly long pauses, and a noticeably fragile mood. And now, Taehyung seems to be going it alone. These two pieces, when put together, form a narrative that leaves many speechless. But those closest to him know one thing. Taehyung isn't the type to leave for no reason. And Jungkook isn't the type to just leave. According to sources around the schedule, what happened was not an emotional breakup, nor a conflict. Quite the contrary, it was a silent decision, born of a concern that did not want to be exhibited. Jungkook, after an emotionally and mentally intense period, needed space. Not a cold distance, but a space to breathe, to calm down without pressure, even from the closest people. Taehyung understands that. Instead of clinging or imposing presence, he chose to go first. Not because of moving away, but because of giving Jungkook time, giving him confidence that he is able to stand up for himself when needed, and giving the unspoken message that support doesn't always mean being right next to him every second. Taehyung's attitude that day was obvious to those who knew him. There was no anger on his face, no disappointments. There's only calm mixed with prudence, like someone who knows when to hold on and when to let go for a moment. Hours after the footage went viral, Jungkook was finally spotted at a different location. He wasn't alone, but he wasn't with Taehyung either. His expression was calmer, his pace slower. For the observant army, one thing felt different. Jungkook seemed more stable, as if the decision to temporarily separate from the crowd, and even from Taehyung, was part of a necessary recovery process. This is the part that is often not understood by the public. That true closeness is not always demonstrated by physical togetherness. Sometimes, it is seen in the belief to give distance without fear. And strong relationships do not collapse just because one person goes first. Taehyung and Jungkook have grown up together over the years. They understand each other's rhythms more than anyone else. Taehyung knows when Jungkook needs a hug, and he also knows when Jungkook needs solitude without guilt. Then the moment Taehyung is caught on camera walking alone isn't a sign of cracking, but rather a sign of emotional maturity that's rarely highlighted. The army slowly began to realize this. The tone of the conversation changes, from panic to reflection. Many write that perhaps this is the most silent form of love and care, not announced, not explained, but felt the impact. Many also recalled how Taehyung had always been a sensitive figure to the emotional state of those around him, including Jungkook. There is no official statement. There is no clarification. As usual, HYBE chose silence. But behind that silence, the story develops in its own way, not as a drama, but as a portrait of real human relationships amid extreme glare that a few days later, Taehyung and Jungkook are seen together again. No big hugs, no excessive laughter, only a brief look, a small nod, and a noticeably calmer togetherness. For the army, that's enough, because they know if something is really wrong, such calm will not exist. The moment Taehyung leaves without Jungkook ends up being a bittersweet reminder that behind the camera, there is a process that is not always beautiful, but necessary. There are days when walking together means walking apart for a moment. And there's an invisible, but precisely the most powerful attention. Caught on camera, yes. But what is caught is only the surface. What really happened, the tacit decision to keep each other in their own way remained in their private space. And perhaps it should be so. The silence after that actually made many people start to see with a different point of view. The short recording of Taehyung walking alone was replayed many times, no longer to look for signs of conflict, but rather to read subtle body language. The unhurried manner in which he steps, his unstrained shoulders, the calm expression on his face, all indicate a person who is carrying out a conscious decision, not a momentary emotion. There is no anger to hide, no wound to want to close. There is only distance deliberately created for the common good. For the army who have been following their journey for a long time, this pattern feels familiar. Taehyung has always understood the importance of personal space. It knows that closeness does not always mean physical presence. He knows that loving someone also means trusting them to deal with difficult days in their own way. And Jungkook, who grew up under the spotlight from a very young age, is slowly learning that asking for space is not a sign of weakness. Behind the scenes, it was a quiet day. No long conversations leaked, no mysterious messages circulated. But according to those who were around, the atmosphere was lighter than the previous days. Jungkook lives his schedule with focus, without undue stress. Taehyung finishes his activities with the same attitude, calm, restrained, and undisturbed by the rumors that begin to swirl outside. Interestingly, the distance did not last long. Not because it is forced, not because of the demands of the schedule, but because it is not intended as a farewell. When they finally returned to being in the same room, there was no awkwardness. There is no long explanation. Just the presence is enough. Like two people who understand each other that day, they need to walk at different speeds, but still go in the same direction. Army who witnessed the next moment of togetherness felt a change that was difficult to explain. There is a new calm. There is no need to prove anything. The relationship feels more mature, more stable, as if it's going through one silent phase that needs to go through. And precisely because of this, many realized that the moment Taehyung was caught on camera walking alone was not a sign of loss, but rather a sign of deep trust. The story is slowly changing meaning. From worry to understanding, from speculation to reflection. Many soldiers wrote that they learned something from the incident, that keeping a person close doesn't always mean holding on tight, and that togetherness doesn't always have to be visible to the world. Sometimes, the most sincere form of attention is to give space, then come back with a calmer heart. Finally, the moment settled down as one small piece in their long journey. Not sensational, not dramatic, but meaningful. Taehyung left without Jungkook, yeah, but not to leave, but rather to ensure that when they walk together again, both step with a lighter weight. And for the army, that understanding was far more reassuring than any answer it could officially